So, all right, cool. Well, now we get to have a little bit of a roundtable, and if there's anything that is on anyone's mind, like right away, would love to have you jump in and tell us what you've been thinking about. I know there's some stuff happening in the chat right now, so the um, I'll mention that the thing that I'm just wondering about on this is always like, yeah, the UI of it. I think Vlad, the idea of you trying to like push the limits on the voice and interacting with the website is really cool. It's just a little bit like the other folks were saying, like how often are people going to actually press that button and talk to the salesperson, right? Because the last thing that I think we're conditioned to do is want to talk to a bot. And so getting over that hurdle feels like it's going to be a huge one to clear. And it may take years. But I don't know if anybody else has had experience with the voice agents and they've had successful experiences with them.
Um, yeah, one thing that came to mind is that some people would just call, like if you have a good voice agent that can actually solve problems, then a lot of people would prefer calling the company maybe than using the website. Older
Yeah.
people, for example. But then again, they wouldn't like to talk to a bot. So yeah, it's maybe complex psychological thing, kind of. But yeah, the phone, we kind of maybe underappreciate just the phone as a phone.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So I see. I'm just looking through in case anybody else has questions that they want to throw up or wants to jump on. I see. Allegra, you're the only other one on video here. The only one brave enough to
Yeah, I
get
guess.
on video.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was based on the previous question as well, and as you're sort of saying, I think really understanding how people are interacting with your website to begin with, like if the filtering, if that's what you're solving, and somebody is not having any issues with quickly applying filters and finding what they need, then um, maybe there would be another more painful interaction that you could help solve. And then on the phone thing, yeah, like if you have a lot of people calling in, then that would be a really helpful thing because people are already expecting a conversation, a voice conversation. And it's not something that goes against what would be most natural, which might be like filtering on a product page. So um, starting in places that more naturally already have that kind of interaction and seeing if it improves how people are finding what they need.
yeah. Yeah, it also makes me think a lot about the idea of having some agent on your side as opposed to usually it's like when you think about how we interact with agents right now, it is the company that gives us an agent to interact with. And so I am still waiting for that like agent that I can have that goes and interacts with the company. It knows what I want. I guess I have to have very clear what I'm what the outcome I'm looking for is. But that type of thinking is an interesting one too, to just flip it on its head, and especially when it's dealing with some type of like phone company, and I've got to dispute something with the phone company, or I've got to figure out like why this isn't working. Can I just have an agent go do that and come back to me with different options as opposed to me sitting on the phone or looking at the website and trying to figure it out?
I think that's what's going on in, or was we were talking about in the chat, right? Like, do we see this future? And that was the question that was posed earlier. Like, is this just going to be in websites or something on a broader scale? And I would definitely imagine in the future, it's like was said, either an extension that you are always have running and is sort of acting on your behalf on different sites. I also remember like when I know Rabbit sort of died, but I remember when it first came out and they were talking. Um, about how they were doing things. And I think that idea of having something that's yours, that's just going out and doing all these things, is the future that we're going to see, rather than having to go into a different experience on every single site or with every system that you're interacting with and have that agent. Because then in the end, it's the same sort of problem where you just have more people, just worse people that you're talking to, rather than something that's like truly representing your own experience.
Yeah. I see, Anas, you came on video again. Makes me think that you want to talk.
Oh, well, just sharing some thoughts around this. I think a big part of this also just when you think about an agent, let's say something that's embedded on a website. I think a big area that needs to be solved for is kind of the human loop interaction. So, a lot of like, at least, if you think about larger enterprises where they have a boatload of knowledge, company knowledge, sales knowledge, marketing knowledge, where you could easily train an agent or give it access to some level of RAG very easily for grounding. Most SMBs don't have that. And therefore, what's the human in loop interaction where an agent starts interacting, it fails, and then you could quickly provide the information that it needs and it could kind of train itself over time. And I think that that user experience is quite important because most companies, most SMBs, they just want something plug and play and it works. And I think that's kind of an illusion today of like agents. Like they're not just gonna. It's not just a plug and play. It's just gonna start working. Most websites are not well documented. A lot of the data structures are probably not very great. So if you think about Vlad's example, you have to have a very good, well documented like backend schema that can be ingested. And if it's not, you could have a lot of failures. So I think that human in the loop part is going to be quite important moving into the future, and like how that experience plays out and how these like platforms build around it.
Yeah, it makes me think about how uh, I I've been trying to find the company that's doing like agent analytics in a way. First off, just like in Vlad's example, where how many people are actually hitting the button to talk with the agent and what does the conversion look like from there? How long do they talk to them? What is it? And that's for a voice agent. But let's imagine Vanessa's example and how many of these agents are actually like doing what they need to do versus how many fail versus a human needs to jump in, and you get all of those analytics and recognize that like, oh well, this agent, yeah, it seems like it's just not really that good, or for some reason it keeps going off the rails at this part, and then you can debug in a little bit different way. And I feel like it could be under the banner of evaluation, but it feels more to me like it's almost like product analytics but for agents.
I would hope that that's part of the flow of putting something like this out there when you're building it. Like in Vanessa's example, like you're talking about the reason for confidence not being high. I would be really curious what that is when they're passing it off, and I would assume that that information is being used to change how things are working so that you can increase that confidence over time.
Yeah, also regarding the different assessments for the how many agents are responding accurately to the demand, how many statistics are sent to the human team. That's super important from the integration. So sometimes when we build agent for our customers is one of our objective, we must implement a solution that in order that 70%, let's say minimum, is handled completely without any human interaction. So when we build this solution for one particular customer, we are able to track that. But yeah, it's super interesting, Demetrius, your plan about having those kind of quantity information for other agents would be super important also for us to know. And Allegra, regarding the confidence, so what we do is in the prompting, we give example of this would be a high confidence, this or counterexample, this would be a low confidence. And at the beginning, we advise, okay, just do not handle to the human team, even for a quick check, if it's 0.97, for instance. And after those quality verification, we see what is the accuracy for the response if it's at 0.8. If every case was correct, but the confidence threshold was low, then we can adjust that. So yeah, over the time, the confidence threshold is lower, let's say, to give over the human team, but it doesn't mean the quality or the accuracy goes lower.
Very cool. All right, y'all. Unless we have a burning question that anybody wants to drop right now, I think this is the moment in time where we farewell and everybody gets to get back to their day, hopefully learning a little bit more. I got to give a huge shout out to Arcade AI because they're helping sponsor these sessions and making sure that they happen. So if you haven't checked out their agent authentication platform, I will drop a link to their tool and website into the chat and go check it out. Arcade AI. And if anybody wants early access, just tell me. I can hook you up. So I really appreciate everybody coming. We're doing these every other week. So now next week we're not doing it, but the week after we'll be doing it again. I'll send you an email. If I get too annoying on the emails, I think there's an unsubscribe button. So just click that one and you can get rid of me, get me out of your inbox. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful. And a huge thank you to Vanessa and Vlad for showing off what you all have been working on, and everybody else for joining in. This was great. I will see you all later. And if you want to hang out and you think that there's probably going to be some other people that want to hang out, there's that match button on the left hand side, and you can just randomly match one-on-one with different people in the session. So if you still have an extra 5 minutes and you want to match with somebody in the session, then click on the match button. And otherwise, I'll see you in a few weeks. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.